Hello and welcome to the BetHelper betting preview. The game we're going to be looking at now is the last 16 All-South American clash between Brazil and Chile. Scheduled for Ellis Park in Johannesburg, so it's going to be at altitude. Scheduled for Monday the 28th at 7:30 p.m. So having a look at the Asian handicap markets, the handicap here is Brazil -1, Chile +1. It's kind of flopped around a little bit. Started off Brazil very short, then they drifted. Now they're after shortening back closer to their opening price, and then obviously Chile have shortened a bit. Could be a change of handicap coming up. Wouldn't be surprised if it was -1.25 by the time kickoff comes around, but we'll have to see what happens there. Have a look at the unders and overs market. The handicap here is over 2.25. It is shortening at that price, so it probably will go down to over 2.5, especially given the goals we've seen in the other last 16 games. Having a look at the fixed odds in Asia, they've Brazil out heavy favourites, Chile distant kind of outside chance, with the draw also being outside chance of about a 25% chance of victory. Have a look at Vegas then. Vegas have things flat on the week. They have Brazil heavy favourites, obviously, at 1.5. Chile are 6.75, while the draws at 3.75. On the point spread at Vegas, it's actually only a half, but Brazil are heavy favourites at that. They're 1.5, even with a minus half a goal cushion. While Chile are 2.5 with half goal advantage. Have a look at the exchanges then. They've Brazil drifting from 1.7 out to 1.62. They've Chile shortening at 7.2 from 7.6. And they've the draws shortening as well slightly from 4.1 down to 4. The unders and overs shortening, it's down to 2.2, so the unders there taking the advantage, but as I said, things are shortening. It was 2.3 earlier on in the week. Have a look at the percentages matched. At the moment, there's only about 750,000 being matched at the exchanges so far, 91% of which has gone in Brazil, which is not very surprising, I guess. Only 5% on Chile and only 4% on the draw. So I am quite kind of surprised that there is such little money on anything but a Brazil victory, especially given Chile's pretty good performance against Spain with 10 men for a long time of that. I guess the suspensions could have major bearing on what people are expecting in this game. So having a look at the bookmakers, the bookmakers have Brazil flat at 1.53, they've Chile drifting at 7 from 6.5, and they've draw flat at 4s, they've the over 2.5 goal market flat at 2.2. So having a look at form now, Brazil's form is excellent. They have 5 wins, 1 draw and 0 losses in the last 6 games. The draw being their 0-0 draw against Portugal, which was probably one of the most exciting fixtures on paper before the World Cup started, but what happened in previous games meant that a draw suited both sides, so it was far from exciting display. They obviously beat Ivory Coast 3-1, and they beat North Korea 1 or 2-1 in their opening game. So Brazil not really up to top speed just yet. Chile, they also have excellent form. They have 5 wins and just 1 loss in the last 6 games. That loss obviously came against Spain last time out. They lost 2-1. They were down to 10 men for a long period, and they actually played very well for who were many's absolute favourites for this World Cup, even at the start and even now after the opening group games. So they lost 2-1 to Spain. They beat Honduras 1-0 and they beat Switzerland 1-0. They've yet to score more than 1 goal in a game, so they haven't really fired on all cylinders up front. Humberto Suazo, their main striker in qualifying, he's been a million miles away from match fit. People always say that he's big boned rather than being unfit, but he's really struggling for match fitness in this World Cup. So we'll have to see if he will actually start. He didn't start against Spain. So having a look at the head-to-head stats, being both from South America, they obviously played each other a lot of times. There's actually been 66 meetings between the two sides, and there's actually only ever been 7 Chile wins. So you would have to expect a Brazil victory based on that. in qualifying, since they both are in the same group of qualifying, they played each other home and away. Brazil won 4-2 at home, while they beat Chile 3-0 away at Chile. So they had a major upper hand there in qualifying. At the World Cup, Brazil have met Chile twice, and it's obviously resulted in two Brazil victories. The last being the 4-1 win in 1998. People might remember Salas, the Chilean striker from that one. Um, there's been 25 goals scored by Brazil in their last six meetings against Chile, so they've over 4 goals scored on average per game against Chile in their last six meetings, so that is very, very impressive. Um, with Brazil's group winning performance, it was their eighth successive group victory at the World Cup, so they're doing what they're expected to be doing, really, especially by Brazilian standards. Chile committed the most fouls in the group stages, so it's no surprise to see that they've got a few players suspended for this game. Brazil have won the last four games of the last 16, so they've always got through to the quarterfinals. They've only one goal conceded in those 4 games, so they are particularly good, especially when it comes to the big important games. Chile have lost all three when they've come up against South American opposition at a World Cup, so not a very good record there for them. Have a look at the rankings now. The rankings, no surprise here to see that Brazil are top in both the FIFA and the ELO rankings, while Chile are 18th according to FIFA, while they come in at 8th on the ELO ranking. So Chile there, they finished second in the qualifying behind Brazil, so they are a very good side. The referee for this one is Howard Webb. Premiership watchers will obviously know him very well. He's given 62 yellows, or he's reffed 62 international games. He's given 256 yellows, giving an average of 4.13 yellows per game. So that's a little bit higher than average. The average is below 4. He's given 10 red cards, giving an average of 0.16 reds per game. So that is about average. He's given 14 penalties, giving an average of 0.23 penalties per game. So that is a little bit higher than average, but nothing extreme. He's reffed a couple of games already. He reffed the shock defeat for Spain against Switzerland. There's only one goal in that, and there was 4 yellows. He also reffed the Slovakia-Italy game. There was 5 goals in that. There was 8 yellows. So it was a pretty hectic match. It probably was one of the best and most exciting games so far. So having a look at some injuries. Felipe Melo and Julio Baptista look like there could be doubts. Wouldn't expect Baptista to start anyway, but Felipe Melo has started most of the games for Brazil in qualifying and in this World Cup. And as I said earlier, Humberto Suazo, the Chilean striker, he looks a mile off match fitness, so I'll have to see if he'll be risked or not against Brazil. Looking at the suspensions, Chile are pretty much riddled with suspensions. They're missing a lot of their key defenders. Estrada, Medel and Ponce, they're all missing through suspension, so you would expect that to have a pretty big factor on their display, especially their defensive display, where they only conceded 2 goals in 3 games, and both of those were against Chile, or against Spain even, sorry. So having a look now at the goals scored in qualifying, Brazil have an average of 1.83 goals scored, while they conceded an average of 0.61 goals in qualifying. And so far in this World Cup, they have an average of 1.66 goals scored, while they've conceded an average of 0.66 goals. Compare that then with Chile. In qualifying, they have an average of 1.8 goals scored, conceded an average of 0.8 goals scored in qualifying. So they're pretty similar stats, the two sides. They finished first and second in qualifying, as I said, so they had pretty similar stats there. So far in this, Chile have scored a goal in every game, just the one goal. So they only have an average of 1 goal scored, where they conceded an average of 0.66 goals. So looking at the probabilities, the computer probabilities, undoubtedly Brazil are the favourites here. They come in at 75%, while the Chile or the draw are pretty much split at 12.5% each. Have a look then at the probabilities based on the bookmakers odds. It's got Brazil 62%, Chile only with a 14% chance, with the draw coming in at 24%. So undoubtedly here that Brazil have the upper hand. Have a look at some suggestions. I'd be interested to see if there's going to be a handicap change in Asia that will influence what I go on. Probably will be looking at the over 2.5 goal market in this one. So check out twitter.com/bethelper to get the final picks for this game.